Hello, hello. Hi. Happy, oh gosh, Saturn day, Saturn night, Mercury hour. It's the technically calendar day, August 18th. The moon is in Aquarius, and it was conjunct Pluto earlier this afternoon, and yeah, definitely felt that. And we had some pretty active solar flares coming through, which adds to the energetic fluctuations. And so I think I mentioned Stefan Burns before and how he reports on the solar activity. And so it's really important to kind of give ourselves and others the grace to like rest and retreat if we need to. The geomagnetic storms have been super active over the past couple weeks, which affects our physiological well-being, which can affect our digestive system. So that could account for some of the stomach bugs that we've been hearing about or experiencing, skin breakouts, headaches, fatigue, and if you have metal implants, you might be feeling this as well. And he also mentions like people who have been experiencing long COVID could have been affected by these solar flares. And he cites the Space Weather Prediction Center, swpc.noaa.gov, if anybody's curious. It's very technical. But if you want to go to Stefan Burns' YouTube channel, he kind of breaks it down, which is also pretty technical, but he includes the astrology and how it correlates with the activity. I just wanted to mention a couple things about some energies that have been going on and some upcoming energies. We're still in Mercury retrograde. Mercury is currently at 27 degrees Leo and squaring Uranus in Taurus. So this is the second out of 3 that Mercury and Uranus will be squaring each other, and this can bring up like unexpected news, events, messages, and we have to be really careful what we respond or react to, because right now it is with Jupiter and Mars in Gemini, it's very like the potential for manifestation, and like whatever we are putting our energy into, whatever we're focusing on, can expand. And so whether we are receiving messages from people that we feel or might have felt in the past that we have an obligation to respond to, or even engagement on social media, whether you're in a conversation or debate or discussion with people online, we have to really be cognizant of what we prioritize. And the full moon in Aquarius, which will be the 19th, the full moon in Aquarius and the sun in Leo will be activating a lot of other energies, including Uranus, which is the ruler of Aquarius. And this is going to create this T-square, which is like a crossroads. So Uranus is at the apex of the T-square, and the moon is in Aquarius, and the sun and Mercury are in Leo. And Mercury again is retrograde, and Mercury retrograde wants us to kind of reflect and go inward, and we could be reminiscing about the past. We could be pulling out old clothes and like remembering a lot of stories, and maybe pulling out photo albums, and just like rehashing old stories. And this Uranus that squares the full moon, the moon and the sun and Mercury, can bring up sudden insight and messages. It could re-evaluate our values, like what we could be thinking, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I used to like X, Y, and Z. Like we are definitely not the same people anymore, and our values have changed. Taurus represents values and our possessions, our stability, our money. And so we could be reevaluating what we are holding on to and what we are letting go of. And with the full moon opposing Mercury retrograde, this is really, in Aquarius, this is really asking us to kind of step back from our emotions. Like Uranus, Aquarius can be very emotionally distant, which comes in handy when, you know, times of objectivity is needed. And being like caught up in our emotions and like getting hung up on the past and like old grievances, or, you know, whatever the situation is, like being tied up in our emotions can kind of block us from making decisions, and like making clear decisions. And so having that distance from, you know, whoever or whatever it is that may be preventing us from getting this clarity is a good thing. Like if we need to take a few days apart from our partner, like, you know, just kind of retreat, gather our own thoughts, take a mental health day, whatever it might be, just kind of like, you know, be with yourself. I do feel like this is what the full moon is asking us to do. And 27 degrees is a Gemini degree. And so it could be useful for us to write our thoughts down and maybe even create something with our hands. You know, Gemini is connected to dexterity. And especially with the sun in Leo, Leo is all about creativity and expression. So maybe you're a songwriter, or, you know, you write poems. However you want to express yourself, like now is a really good time to do that and just express without any expectation of approval or monetization or any kind of, you know, views or whatever it might be. Just doing it for your own inner child, you know. Pretty soon Mercury is going to come into a trine with Chiron, the wounded healer, which is also retrograde. So a lot of memories and wounds could be surfacing right now for us to work through, for us to confront and address. And if, you know, if it's wounds that involve other people, which, you know, like, of course, it's always going to be the case, this could be something that we deal with on our own because, you know, maybe you've already experienced this, but not all the parties involved are willing participants to do the work to confront the shadows and, you know, own up or work through the past issues. So we have to really take responsibility of our own emotions and our own inner child. And a good way to do that is to like tend to the inner child and like write things out and express, especially with Jupiter and Mars in Gemini. This is really asking us to use our words, but in productive ways and ways that have meaning, especially with Saturn in Pisces retrograde also in a square to both Jupiter and Mars. And so they've Mars and Jupiter came into a conjunction at 16 degrees on the 14th, and it will come into another conjunction in a week or so at 21 degrees. And let's see, 21. So 21 is a Sagittarius degree, which is associated with themes of optimism and beliefs, truth-seeking, exploration, faith, spirituality, ethics. And so the first conjunction of Mars and Jupiter was at 16 degrees, which is connected to Cancer, which is connected to ancestry, the home, mothers, the womb, Cancer-related things like nurturing and caring. And so at the Sagittarius degree, it could be bringing up ideas about our beliefs. We definitely want to watch what we absorb and what we respond to. Like if we've been beating a dead horse with the issues that are at hand, we want to reassess, like, do I want to respond to this message right now? And so some of the other squares that are happening, some of the other aspects, it's like T-square on top of T-square, which is like plot twist on top of plot twist. So Mars square Saturn, we had that on the 15th, and then Mercury retrograde in Leo squaring Uranus, that's happening on the 18th, like as I speak. So sudden messages, insight, feral plot twist. Who knows what kind of news the media will spin up. And then Venus and Virgo will be squaring Jupiter in Gemini between the 18th and 19th. So like which can be, Jupiter in Gemini can be like spontaneous energy, Jupiter's expansion and and blessings and like going big. And in the sign of Gemini, it's all about ideas and different options and like seeing, what else is out there, like other viewpoints. And then Venus in Virgo wants to see what can be improved. Like, it's very service oriented, like acts of service is Venus in Virgo love language. And so there can be like spontaneous acts of service. And it could be like going all out, like Venus and Jupiter are the benefics of the zodiac. And so when they get together, it could be excessive. It could be excessive in cerebral ways. Like, Virgo is an earth sign, but it is also ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in Leo, so there is that potential of possible extravagance or, amorphous self-care kind of Venus things. And so there is that square, and then Mercury and the Sun on the 18th as well. Mercury and the Sun will be conjunct, also known as a cazimi, at 26 degrees, which can bring clarity. Like, this is when Mercury is in the heart of the Sun, and this is when Mercury is in the heart of the Sun, and ideas can come through when false information is burned off, so we can really get like some pure messages from the Sun, from God. Like, Sun is considered to be God in some faiths, so we can get some like messages from the King, is how Mercury cazimi has been described. And you have the full moon in Aquarius also squaring Uranus. Like, I see this emotional distancing as, distance loving, like distance learning, which can also play into that too, since Mercury is opposing the moon. It could be like distance loving, like loving from a distance, where, you don't have to be in each other's space, you don't have to be in direct communication. You just have that objectivity, but still like operating from the heart. Venus in Virgo opposing Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Like, Venus is connected to relationships and money as well. And again, like, Venus wants to improve things, wants to find, all the details where things can be kind of tweaked or changed, or, the process can be improved. And when it opposes Saturn in Pisces, there's a question of like, okay, how long can I endure this relationship? Is this a relationship, or is this process really sustainable? Like, is it going to make it? Like, does this have meaning? Is this meaningful enough? Is this relationship, is this process valuable enough to me and useful to me that I can, make it work? So it's like efficacy evaluation, like with this full moon in Aquarius, we're like taking that time to kind of assess and evaluate these Venus topics, like money, relationships, beauty, processes. And again, it's at a Gemini degree. All the, like, most of these, and that's another thing with the solar flares, there can be like this energy fluctuation, and so there's that feeling of being wired and tired. So we just have to kind of like give ourselves grace and understand that this is what it is. But like doing something dexterous with our hands can help, release that restlessness. And then also on the 19th, Jupiter squares Saturn. So Saturn retrograde. And yeah, Jupiter is that, expansion energy, and Saturn is the restriction. Jupiter wants to bestow blessings, and Saturn wants to dole out lessons and make sure that you're prioritizing your energy, especially in Pisces. Like, definitely kind of lends to that feeling of being like if you have this great idea that you're excited about, you know, like Jupiter and Gemini has that tendency of being all over the place and thinking of all these amazing ideas. Saturn in Pisces is kind of like that restrictive energy, like telling us that we'll have to kind of just table that idea for now. We kind of have to, you know, depending on what house Saturn is in, it could either be saying like, you know, we don't have the funds to pursue that idea, we don't have the energy to pursue that idea. You know, there's other things that are being prioritized at the moment. You know, just having to stay focused and like not getting carried away or redirected too far off is that Jupiter square Gemini, Jupiter square Saturn energy. And so, yeah, I think last time I talked about how this can be that feeling of, you know, growing new legs and being so excited to walk, but having all these distractions around us, and it's still that same sort of energy where we have to stay focused and understand that we have to learn how to walk. We have to like stay focused and build our strength in our legs so that we can walk on our own and get to where we want to go. But to do that, we have to have the discipline to stay focused and prioritize those things that are within our capability, like energy wise, and that has meaning. Yeah, if like partners are feeling the need to withdraw, that just means that there's some shadow work that is beckoning us to get some space, you know, and we don't have to wallow in this like loneliness space where, you know, oh no, you know, there's that feeling of being rejected. We want to go into this, into these energies with the feeling of trust, like, okay, great, they are taking the time to get some space, I also need time to get some space and gather my thoughts. So everything happens for a reason. As cliche as it sounds, it's definitely true. You're not crazy, you're not unworthy, and you're not being punished. So one of the affirmations that I recently heard, I think her name was Rewilding by Sabrina on YouTube. I'm only going to go as fast as I can stay aligned. I'm only going to go as fast as I can keep my heart open. I'm going to speak at a pace that keeps my heart open. And I'm not going to deny truth, but what I'm also going to invite myself to do is go to the deepest truth that I can. So, trusting that we'll get through these transits unscathed. So try to experiment, play, learn how to avoid the distractions of the vortex of social media, focusing on real-world connections, self-nourishment, filling your own cup, getting creative, exploring new or old hobbies for fun's sake, and staying open and shining without shame, grounding, keeping your feet in the grass, and being mindful around fires, blades, weapons, harmful objects, as Mars is very activated right now as well. So hopefully that made sense. I think that's all I wanted to mention. Yeah, there's a lot of lessons on setting boundaries right now, like compassionate but firm boundaries. So hopefully that was helpful. And again, thank you for always listening. Thank you always for listening. And yeah, stay grounded. And we, like everything else, like all the other transits, these too shall pass. This one is actually hitting my Mars in Aquarius and squaring my Jupiter in Taurus. Pretty exact, to the degree. So hopefully I will see you in the next one. Okay, all the best. Take care.